Welcome back to wagertalk.com. We're going to continue our coverage of conference previews. This week we're going to go AFC North, and there's a team in that division, guys, that I like, and well, there's one that you like. I'm sorry about that, but I'm joined with Brian Leonard and Preston, the Sports Cheetah. Guys, AFC North, all of the hype is for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year, and it's because of the way they finished last season and that explosive offense. And a lot of people, me included, if they were healthy in that final game at Denver last year, I think they would have been moving on in the playoffs. But they weren't, and Antonio Brown wasn't able to play in that one, and it cost them. But high hopes for the Steelers this year. I have my thoughts, but I'll go ahead and let you guys start it off, and I'll tell you. Going to surprise you.
I'll let Brian go. This is his division.
All right.
He's supporting the Browns right now with the
Undefeated Cleveland Browns. Mark it down right now.
Yeah,
until the season starts. Yeah, the Steelers. It's amazing what they did, considering that Big Ben didn't play like 5 games, right? Yep. And the offensive output they had at the end of the season. I like Pittsburgh because they're one of the teams that throw the ball downfield. There's not enough teams that, obviously don't have the ability, but they throw the ball downfield, and in fact, they did it more than any other team, and that was with him missing 5 games last year. That means you got a lot of chance for big chunk plays. They got a good running game. The defense at the end of last year, at the end of the season, was doing really well. Yeah, you would have to think if they're healthy, that may be the team to beat in this division. But I think all the teams in this division are going to be improved this year, even my Cleveland Browns.
Well, they can't be any worse.
Well, they can't be any worse, but I'm not going to say they're going to win a lot of games, but as the season goes on, they'll be more competitive.
We'll get to Cleveland in a second. As far as Pittsburgh goes, Preston, this offense would have been even more potent if Martavis Bryant could stay clean. Mm-hmm. He's out for the season. They're going to lose Le'Veon Bell for the first 4 games, but last year, D'Angelo Williams filled in just fine for them, so they're not going to miss a beat there. Receiver-wise, I mean, everybody knows about Antonio Brown. We know that he's going to get all of the double teams. But I'm going to tell you, mark his name down. He's going to have a good season this year. Not many people know about him. He couldn't get on the field last year because the Steelers were so deep at wide receiver. But I look for Sammy Coates to have a big year for the Steelers this year. He'll be the guy that when he is on the field, he's not going to be getting the double team or the second best coverage. He's going to be that third guy in a lot of the receiver sets. I look for him having a good year. Might be a little fantasy sleeper that you could pick up cheap.
I was going to say, I just picked him in a league I drafted 2 days ago. So I'm glad we're on the same page there. I really do like him. Marcus Wheaton's not a guy that I think's really ever going to amount to being maybe who people thought he could be a few years ago. But the Steelers in general, kind of just roll with you guys here on this division. They're the favorites for a reason. I think there's a lot of people that think they're here if they're healthy, which they kind of aren't really now with Bell out for the first 4 games and Bryant's gone for the season. But if Big Ben does stay healthy all year, they're probably going to be okay, and they're projected to win 10 games or whatever. But the Bengals are in a team you can look over, and we kind of segue into Cincinnati. They're the team I think, if you're looking for a value bet as far as the division winner goes, I know Mark agrees with me here, like plus 175 or so on the Bengals I think has some value. To me, it is them or Pittsburgh, and I'd be surprised if either team actually missed the playoffs. I think one of them will end up with the wild card spot as well. But they're the team that actually had, I mentioned this on a video a few weeks ago when we played them against the Jets on a best bet, but they were number 1 in the country. I'm used to talking college football. Yeah. Number 1 in the league, I should say, in opponent points per play, and they're actually ahead of Denver. And so their defense is fantastic, and it just feels like the year now that they've gotten to the playoffs so many times and fallen short, whether it's Dalton just blowing it with interceptions or being injured. This year they're kind of getting overlooked, and I think they actually have a shot to maybe make a run finally. I'm not sure what their Super Bowl odds yet. I haven't done all my work here for NFL yet, but that's a team I'm actually going to look at taking maybe a 35 or whatever the odds are shot to win the Super Bowl as well.
With Cincinnati, you mentioned the defense. Last year they held opponents to 21 points or less 13 times. But the real reason why I like Cincinnati over Pittsburgh to win the division is I like to go and look at the schedule and see how the schedule plays out. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a horrendous finish to the season. They have to play in a 5-week period 4 out of 5 games on the road late in the season. And they're not easy games. They go to Cleveland, okay, that'll be easy, but then they're on the road to Indianapolis. They got the Giants at home. Then they have back-to-back weeks Buffalo and Cincinnati. We know the Cincinnati game is going to be a war, but right after the Cincinnati game, they got their biggest war. Always, doesn't matter if the team's good or bad, and it cost the Steelers dearly last year. They got to go to Baltimore, or they play Baltimore at home right after that, back-to-back on the road, and playing Cincinnati the week before. That is just a horrible way to end the season, and I think that's going to be the difference. It's going to leapfrog Cincinnati to win the division.
So question for you, if you're looking to maybe back the Bengals in a division bet, it might actually be worth, if you broke down the schedule, maybe waiting till mid-season and getting a better price on Cincinnati if the Steelers do have a game or two lead at that point.
Good point. Good point. I think I'll grab some early because I just love that
case.
minus 175, and then if it goes back up, take it.
Plus 175. And Baltimore is one of those other teams that has the talent. They just fell off the map last year, turned the ball over way too much. The quarterback. One of the problems is the quarterback is not an elite quarterback, and yet he takes the second biggest chunk out of the salary cap next to Drew Brees out of any quarterback in the NFL, and that's really tough to build around.
In Baltimore, to throw in schedule, they're another one that has a bad stretch. They got 3 out of 4 on the road. In the 3 road games in that stretch, New England, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati. That's going to be a bad 4-week stretch for Baltimore, and it can make or break a season. Quickly, Brian, your Cleveland Browns, there's not a lot to say about them. I do like the hire. I like Hugh Jackson as coach. I think he's the perfect guy for there. Maybe finally get some stability. Be patient with him. Let him build this. I know there's a lot of hype with RG3. We'll see what he's got, if he still has anything left or if he's a total bust. But I know there's one game I'm excited to see, and I will tune in to watch a Cleveland Brown game. And that's going to be when they go to Washington. I want to see RG3 when he goes back to play in Washington. You know I'm a situational guy, and I like little angles like that. He is going to be sky high for that one.
I like every move that Cleveland made in the offseason, other than probably the RG3 move. But you have to have somebody at quarterback. What's going to hurt him is Mack has gone to center, and he was huge. They used to run up to him every time, and that's how they had their success. So he's not there, but they've got a lot deeper. They drafted well. This is a team on the rise. Now, obviously, they're bad, so they're going to be on the rise. But in the future, Cleveland could be in that same area as Baltimore is right now.
Last thing real quick before we close. I didn't get to watch a ton of Browns games last year. I apologize.
No problem.
What do you think of Duke Johnson? Do you think he actually has the talent to be a guy, or he will be good?
If he gets the blocking, he's a great pass catcher out of the backfield. Yeah. And Cleveland's got some players. I mean, they finally got some players, and the management is there.
Can spread it around.
As long as they stick with the plan, which is something that Cleveland has not done in the past.
You got to be patient. You got to give Hugh Jackson the chance to do it. All right, guys. Hey, every Tuesday at Wager Talk, it's $2 Tuesday. We pick one capper. We offer his best bet for just $2. It's a great way to introduce yourself to Wager Talk or a new handicapper that you haven't tried before. Check it out each and every Tuesday to see who the $2 capper is that week. We'll be back with more here at wagertalk.com.